And here we go again. 111. In privatus rebus, in private matters, si qui, contrasted to si quis, if there's anyone, looks like he's mandatem with a rem, he's been mandated a rem or entrusted with one, non modo, not only has he gesicided, has he conducted himself malitiosius, rather maliciously, looks like what have we got here? For the sake of, cause a post positive behind genitus, for the sake of his own questus, that's like income or profit, and for his own advantages here, commodi, virum, but etiam, even, rather negligently, that's comparative, him, the same person up here, the si quis, the maiores, the ancestors, what have we got a verb here? They existum abanta. They thought that he is admissade with the summus dedecus, with the utmost dishonour. They have admissade themselves. Looks like they've conducted themselves. Itaque, and so, or and so accordingly, of the mandate of the entrustment, constitutum est a judicium. So there was decided or founded a judicium. This is a judgment. Non minus, not less turpe, not less foul or disgraceful, quam ferti. So the decision was that of a mandate, it's much the same as in a theft, if it's betrayed, basically. Credo, I believe, proptui quod, very Cicero and Caesar thing to say. So besides because, quibus in rebus, with which in things ipsi interesse non possum, so his mus, which means us, we're not able, ipsi ourselves, to have been interesse, to have been intersummed, to been there in the matter, not present. So in eos, in these types of works, maybe, fides vicaria nostra amacore. So the fides, the trustworthiness of our friends, or the trust of our friends, it's replaced with, it's opponent or succeeded by the trust of our friends. And we know vicariously means they're doing the action, our works for us, vicariously. Quam qui laid it, which he who laid it or hurts this entrustment or mandate, he is a pugnant. He fights the, what have we got? Commune praesidium omnium, the common protections of all of us, and quantum in ipso est, and however much there is in himself, or however much power he himself has, maybe, it disturbs societatem vitae, ruins the social life, maybe, something like that. Enim, for non possumus, we're not able to aggregate, to conduct, omnia, all things, the neuter form, per nos, through ourselves, we're not able to do everything. So alias in alia, one thing for another, in with the accusative. So re, in a matter, something is more utilous, one for another. So one person is more useful in a matter than another, or one person can do another person's job, or someone's better suited to it. And in circo, for this reason, comparantos, so procured amicitate, friendships, with a purpose, so that the commune commodum, the common advantages, can be gubernated, can be controlled or ruled by mutual duties. So everyone has a different duty to perform. 112. Quid recipes mandatum? So why do you receive this mandate? If either, ought, future, you're going to neglect it, or ad tuum commodum conversurus es, or you will convert it to your advantage or convenience. Why to me do you offer this? And meus commodus officios, okay, this bit is separate. So by pretended duty, you officis, this means to hinder, and obstas, another word for hindering, to hinder and block these things which are to my meus commodus, So basically, you're offering yourself, but this is in pretense, you're this duty because you want to block and hinder all of my own advantages. So, for a daily dictionary, officio. Third conjugation, IO variant. I obstruct, hinder, block. Figuratively, I stand in the way of oppose. I'm detrimental, hurtful, plus the dative. Okay. Not to be confused with officium, the noun. So, recede, imperative. Recede from the middle. Get out of the way from the middle of this. Transigam, I'll transact this per alium from another person. Suspicious, you've taken up this onus, this burden of a duty that you think you are able to sustain or bear or continue. It should be minime. We've got two maxime written here. Men in me, which seems minimally burdensome to those who themselves minimally consider this to be light. So it's a good thing that's changed because it makes more sense. So I'll read that little bit, the Leib's version, which says, a burden which seems by no means heavy to those who are themselves by no means weak-minded. Okay, there's a footnote. The reading of this text may be thus explained. A man of a strong character would not think such a burden heavy, but one who is light, i.e. weak-minded without character, will. Various alterations have been suggested, maxime for the first minime, or leve for grave, or non posse for posse. Okay, so it's a footnote about what's going on there. So ergo, therefore then, id circo for this reason, turpus haec culpa est. So culpa is a blame or a fault. So these things are, what we say, a foul type or disgraceful sort of blame or fault, in which doers, two things, as sanctissimus, are violated. Amicitiam and fidem, so friendship and trust would be betrayed. That's the id circo, that's the reason. Nem neque mandat quisquam. So, neither does anyone mandate a thing, vere almost, unless it is to a friend, an amico, and neither does he believe this, unless to him he thinks putats, who he thinks is fidem. So this is the contrast of amicitem and fidem. So he only trusts the person who is an amico, and he doesn't trust him unless he thinks he's fidem again here. Perdissimi est. That's the superlative, so very perdissime, very destructive or ruined. Therefore, egator, therefore then, of the man, similar at the same time, both, because we've got et, these are correlatives, I mean both he has dissolved an amitica, he's destroyed friendship, and he has fallerade him, and he's deceived him, who, what the hell is that thing doing there? Who lasis non esset nisi critis. So he's deceived the person who wouldn't have been harmed unless that he had entrusted him, credited. It's pretty simple. 113, we have a question with ne. Ite ne est? Is it so? In minimis rebus, in small matters, who neglectserit, who's neglected a mandate or what they've been entrusted with, it is necessary that he is condemned with a or by a turpissimo judgment. You know, he's done something bad, so you'll suffer the consequence. I've seen turpissimo used maybe 3 times now. And in a re tanta, in such a matter, tanta usually means greater. You'll have a diminutive like tantalus if it's a small one. Cum is when the rumours or reports, and we have a double dative to whom is dead. So when the rim, we might say the reputeness or his infamy or his fame to a dead, and commendata sunt in concretita. So the fortune of the living. So we're talking about the legacy and the name of the dead person and the fortune of the living person are commended and concreditor. These are entrusted words. Then here we have the adfecit bits. There's the ignominy or of the dead, and the inopia or the poverty of the living, because the father was killed and now there's a bad name going about him, and the living son is now in poverty who should have got these estates. He into honest homines, this man amongst honest men, and to such extent amongst the living, should he be numerabitted. So the man who does this, who betrays the mandate, neglects it, in such a great matter, you've given a bad name to the dead, and you've affected the fortune of the living, should he be counted even to such an extent that he is counted as a living person? And should he be counted amongst the honest man? In minimis privatus qui rebus, so in small and private matters, etiam negligentia, so even negligence of the mandate is vocator, called into a crimen, into accusations, and the infamy of judgment, propter required, besides because if it fiat, which is a subjunctive one, so if it had been done rightly, it ought to be the one who neglected it is illum him who mandated it, not illum, not him who received the mandate. So in normal business, if some neglect comes along by someone who has actually done it correctly, recte, then if any negligence happens, it's on the part of the person who mandated it, not the person who received the mandate. In re tanta, so again, in such a matter, which is gesta conducted publicly and has been commissioned, so it's been done publicly and commissioned publicly, quia not by negligence has hurt something of a private commodum advantage, so in English it would be something different. So in such a matter which is being carried out publicly and commissioned publicly, what's happened to something who has harmed a person's private matters, really, and not by negligence but by perfidia, treachery, and has polluted the ceremony of this legation itself. Legates, when you deputise someone to do something, has affected with a macula, which is a stain. Qua, what? And we've got a question here, so when you see tandem in a question, it just means just what, you might want to say. So just what should the poena, the punishment, be adficated, effected with, or should it be condemned by quo, or what sort of judgment, quo judicio? So now he's just asking, it definitely wasn't done by a negligence but by perfidia, that has been betrayed, so what should the punishment be? What should it be condemned with? 114. Si hanc a rem privatum sextus Roscius mandavicided. So, if this to him matter, so if Sextus Roscius had mandated this to him, this matter to him privately, so that with Chrysogenus he had transacted and decided to do this, and in eam rem, and into this matter, his fidem, suam fidem, if he puterated, if he thought there was an opus, there was a need, see quiz if there was any need to give his fidem, his trust and words, he would have been opponented his fidem. He would have placed his promise, he would have given a promise. So again, that little bit. If Sextus Roscius had mandated a private matter to him, and he had transacted and decided this with Chrysogenus, and if he thought it was necessary and was needed, he would have placed his fidem in this matter. And he, illi, capite, this would be, and if he had recupisced, if he had taken this, what he would facturum, what he would do, surely, if from this business, he would convertisse tantum into rem. Rem here means your profit or your money. So if Capito from this business thought he would get a little tantalum, he would get a little bit of money, shouldn't he be damnatus, condemned through an arbiter? An arbiter is a lot like a judge, and it's the praetors, I believe. who decide this? Is it a praetor? Yep. He would have had to make restitution in the matter, and he would have lost honestem omnem, all his good name, his honestam. And that's it for the day.